And a very pleasant good morning. I'm your host, Dan Hogan, and the accent today is on a couple of things. Let me tell you what's on the program so you'll know right off the bat. The director of the YMCA Youth Home, which is called Someplace Else here in Tallahassee, Tom Hyman, is with us, and also John Wallace, the male house manager, is here. And right now, here we are with Tom Hyman, director of the YMCA Youth Home called Someplace Else. Who came up with that name?
Tom Davis and Margie Miller came up with that name back about 4 years ago when we first opened the home in July of 75 it was.
And specifically, Someplace Else is for whom?
Someplace Else is a shelter. It's for runaway youth aged 10 to 17, homeless kids, throwaway kids, youngsters who are between foster placements or group home placements. Quite a few different kinds of kids.
And now, who do you serve? You said there is an age qualification here.
Yes, they have to be between the ages of 10 and 17.
And you serve anybody as far as no matter where they're from in the country. If they happen to be in Tallahassee, you will accept them. Is that right?
Right, that's right. Really, we're the only alternative service in the whole of the Panhandle. And so the referrals that we get through HRS and stuff cover the Panhandle region. But our geographic coverage overall is the entire United States. We get youngsters from all over the United States.
And speaking of geography, exactly where are you located?
Okay, we're located at 1313 and 1315 Linda Ann Drive. It's just out Appalachie Parkway past the Family YMCA.
Okay, now I would assume that is like a joint address. All of that is on
Yes,
the same side of the street?
They're both on the same side of the street. Okay. One is the office and the other is the shelter itself.
And how do youths get into Someplace Else? Tell me that.
Well, there's all different ways. Most of them walk in. They hear about us either because we're on television, because we have public service announcements on FM, TV. We have posters around town in places that they contact, such as pawn shops and such. But mostly I think they hear about us through the grapevine, through kids who are in middle schools and high schools that know we're here and see these youngsters on the street and say, why don't you go out there? It's an okay place.
Speaking of the grapevine, I assume there would be a phone number where people could call if they wanted some information.
Right. We have a hotline that people can reach just any time, night or day, 24 hours a day. And its number is 877-7974. 877-7974.
Right.
Either parents or youngsters who have run away can call that number anytime and talk with us.
Okay, also with us is John Wallace, the male house manager today. And let me ask you this, John, what happens when runaways come in? What happens to them first? Are they offered a meal or what exactly?
That's usually about the first thing that happens, especially if it's a kid that's been on the street for a while. A lot of times they haven't been eating right. And when they first come in, generally just what we're out to do is make them feel comfortable, establish some lines of communication with them, get them talking a little bit about what's going on, why they ran away from home, so that we can see where we might be able to help them.
Okay. Let me ask you this. This is just an observation, gentlemen, but is it a requirement for somebody who works at Someplace Else to have a beard?
No, as a matter of fact, none of the ladies that work with us have beards at all.
All right, on that note, we'll pause for a commercial, and we'll be back with more. Stay tuned.
Join us this week on Don Kirshner's Rock Concert for Burton Cummings, The Exciting Bad Company, a rare Bill performance from the Doors, the Jimmy Castor Bunch, the great Uriah Heep, England's sensational Kate Bush, comedy from funny lady Maureen Murphy.
The Rock Concert this Friday night at 12:30 on 27 Up and Coming.
Okay, we're back speaking with Tom Hyman, the director of the YMCA Youth Home called Someplace Else here in Tallahassee, and John Wallace, the male house manager. I assume there's a female house manager. Is that right, John?
Yes.
And what is her name?
Her name is B.B. Easton.
And she takes care of the young ladies, and you take care of the young gentlemen, right? Okay. What happens exactly once these young people are in residence? What's expected of them as far as rules and regulations are concerned?
Okay.
So John first.
We have 3 major rules. These are no sexual contact. You have to have a staff member with you to leave the site, and no drugs or alcohol.
And how many people can you actually house?
Okay, we're funded for 14 people, 7 males and 7 females. From time to time it gets a little crazy and a little bit off balance. We can sleep more in a pinch, but 14 is our ideal number.
Okay, Tom, how long do the youths usually stay? Does that vary?
Yes, it does. The runaway youngsters, the ones from mostly the northeastern United States and stuff, stay on an average of 6 to 9 days before, either we get bus fare or the parents make it down here and that kind of thing, and they can return home. But in essence, we have 2 populations. The other is our youngsters who are really dependent, who have been placed with us by the state, are in between foster or group home placements. They generally stay on the average of about a month before the state can arrange an appropriate placement for them. It takes a little longer.
And are there certain seasons when you have more people than other seasons?
Yes, our biggest season is coming up. It'll be right after school opens, and it'll last about a month and a half. We'll probably be filled to capacity for that time. Then it'll slack off around Christmas, and then towards the end of the school year when spring comes and everybody feels like playing hooky, why we fill up again.
All right, what happens when families participate in counseling?
Okay, now we have a special kind of counseling called mediational family therapy. It's short-term, it's oriented to dealing with a crisis, the immediate crisis, and there always is one. There's always something that's happened pretty traumatic to the kid in the last couple of times. It's a problem-solving approach, and we usually see the parents and the family together only 2, 3, maybe 4 times before the youngster returns home. But that counseling can continue for as long as they want. There's no charge for anything like that. And local families who would be interested, who feel that their youngster is going to run away, threaten to do that, can call us and get non-residential family counseling also at no charge to themselves.
Okay, with that in mind, can we repeat the phone number for the people?
Yes, that number is 877-7974.
Okay, you mentioned crisis. Briefly tell me, in that crisis, when perhaps the kids meet their parents, is there usually a blow-up? I mean, is there tension there that comes out at the center that maybe once the tension's relieved, things get back to normal and they go home? Or
right. Now, we've seen, I would say maybe 4,000 or 5,000 runaways since we opened up, and maybe 2,500 families or so. Invariably, there's a blow-up. The youngster doesn't want to go home, is angry. The parents are also angry because the youngster's left, and there is conflict. When they come together, they do blow up. We use that, though. We like to see that because it means that they say the things that they're really concerned about with each other, and we get to get through the anger so that we can start talking about, well, how do you really care about each other? What do you need? Who needs to change, and how can we go on living? How can we stabilize your family so you feel better about each other?
Okay, thank you, gentlemen. Our guests on the first couple of segments of Accent for a Friday have been Tom Hyman, director of the YMCA Youth Home, called Someplace Else here in Tallahassee, and John Wallace, the male house manager.